Thank you all for being here. This is so wonderful, especially on a day where there's actually sun outside and it's nice. So we do appreciate it. This presentation, what's that?
47, just say.
We should really be having this outside, I know. Yes, I do. So you can introduce yourself. Tell me who you are. So I could make this presentation as long or as short. So you should have a brochure in front of you, and those are the highlights. But before we get into that, I would just like to introduce me and Beth. Beth will introduce, I'll introduce myself, just so you know who we are, instead of just two crazy ladies who came in on probably one of the most beautiful days of our winter. My name is Ruth Summers. I have been part of Keller Williams for almost 10 years, and both Beth and I have worked with Kathy Manchester, who you all may know has had the Manchester team and worked in real estate for, 600-700 years. And so both Beth and I have worked very closely with her as part of her team. And through that, we started to really focus in on the older population and what it means to downsize. So I live down in Scarborough, but I do find that I go just about anywhere to do real estate. I am married, 3 children, 3 grandchildren, and I completely understand what it means to be juggling everything. So I really do appreciate all of you being here today. Thank you.
I'm Beth Humphrey, and if you haven't realized, we're probably the 2 tallest women in Keller Williams right now.
We are that.
We are that. I live here in Gray with my husband, Nate Humphrey. Some of you might know. He's born and bred. And I've had 2 children here that came up through the Gray New Gloucester system, and I totally love living here. And I really appreciate you guys coming out. Sometimes it can be challenging and very stressful to go through this process. And hopefully we can provide some information and resources that will make it less stressful and be helpful to you. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you. So I'm doing this off of my phone, so it may glitch, it may do something funky. I'm not really quite sure, but that's the joys of having a Mac. And I have talking points and all this other sort of stuff, but really, we could just talk about it organically, as Beth and I have both helped out a number of clients who have lived in their houses for years and years and years. But there is a process, and there's a lot of emotions that go into it as well. So that's kind of what we're going to touch on as we move forward. This whole presentation was actually developed by a group called Seniors Real Estate Institute, and they've been around for over 20 years. And as realtors, you are offered the opportunity to take their classes, learn the step-by-steps, kind of figure out what will be the best process to help folks in this very, emotional, exciting time of their lives. So with all of this, we have workbooks, we have checklists, because I understand it can be very, very overwhelming, and that's really what we want to help you with and make sure that you're not too overwhelmed. So during this presentation, we are going to talk about the 5, can you see that okay? I'm afraid to move this because it'll, how's that?
I think there's actually...
I just don't want it to, there you go. So we're really going to talk about the 5 steps of making all of this happen. What we do recognize is that this is not the typical house sale. You are not going to decide today that you want to sell your house and you're going to put it on the market on Friday and you're going to be into your new home within 30 to 45 days. This is nothing like that. We also recognize that you may have purchased the home that you live in right now 20, 30, 40 years ago. There have been a lot of changes in the real estate market in that time. So even the process of selling your house and finding your next location is a very new experience, and we're here to help you through all of that. So there are 5 steps that we're just going to briefly touch on. Creating a plan, which is very, very important. Communicating with your family and friends, which can be a little emotional. Surrounding yourself with professionals, and that doesn't mean just the real estate agent that you choose to work with. We have the opportunity in our business, in the context that we have, to find people who we know, like, and trust, that we feel very comfortable giving you their name and contact information, so we know that you're going to be in the best possible hands. You can find services and people to help you out, but you want to make sure that they're going to be the right people to do so. Dealing with a house full of possessions. If you all are like anybody else, including myself. My husband's lived in our house for almost 40 years, and we have a barn. So if that tells you how much stuff we have, it is a house full of possessions. And then celebrating your new lifestyle. It is a lifestyle change. You will go from owning this home to maybe downsizing into an over 55 community. Maybe it's an independent living situation. Maybe it's down in the South where all you do is worry about how much suntan lotion or sunscreen you have in your closet. And for all of those, we can help you. So that's what we're going to touch on today. What's that? Who said suntan?
I said you do suntan?
Oh my God, I love the sun, I tell you. I do. And there are many reasons, so we'll start from the beginning. There are many reasons why people begin to think about downsizing. And maybe you've had these same conversations with yourself or people in your sphere. Social engagement. Getting out of the house could be a challenge, especially with the weather, the ice, and you find yourself just stuck within your four walls, really wishing that you could have somebody to chat with. Health and wellness, whether it's having the gym right at your location, having somebody to come in and check on you to make sure your medications are all up to date, making sure you're taking what you need to, and then the house becomes a burden. What may have been, really easy and simple to take care of 30 years ago, all of a sudden now you've got dust here and dust there, and you've got piles and all sorts of things. And it's not for any reason, it's just life happens. And, at the end of the day, it's really good to be on this side of the grass and have this challenge. So we're here to make sure it's as easy as possible. So what we'd really like to do in step one is create a plan that fits your lifestyle and your future needs. Not everybody is the same. Everybody in this room is going to have different desires for what your next step would like to be. So there are 5 steps, but each step is completely different for each person. And that's what we're going to begin to chat about. Let's see, let me follow these steps so I don't miss anything important. So if you're not sure where to start, today is a perfect place, and this is very important that you're here today. And we may be doing something together in a year, 2 years, 5 years, or you may have somebody in your sphere of influence who could benefit from having a conversation. And sometimes what we have learned is that it's much easier for an outside person to come in and have the conversation versus somebody who is close and emotionally attached. And I just went through this with a client of mine. And I really didn't have any problem telling him what needed to happen. And once I said exactly what she had been saying for about 4 years, everything happened. So, we all know. We've got people in our lives. We understand. But this is really where you need to start to think. What type of lifestyle do you need or want for now or in the future? Many of the places that you may be thinking about going, they have anywhere from 6 months, 9 months, 2 years waiting list. And that's good to know. So if you've got a couple of places that you may be thinking about moving, you may want to go put your name on a wait list now. And those are steps that we can help you with. Where do you stand financially? I don't need to know how much money you have in your bank account. I don't need to know what any of your finances are. But figuring out where you are financially. We have people, if you don't have somebody of your own, who can look at your finances, because many of these places, if not all of them, don't take insurance. This is something that you're paying for out of your own pocket, whether it's from the sale of your home or if it's investments that you've had over the years. Finding out that number first is extremely important, because that will really determine what your next step would be as to where you want to go put your name on a list. And then what is necessary to prepare for this move? What are all of the I's that needed to be dotted and the T's that need to be crossed? There are many, many senior living options, and the state of Maine has done a phenomenal job in bringing a whole lot of independent living all the way down to memory care and everything in between that you may need. As you may or may not know, Maine is one of the, if not the, oldest population in the state of the country. So everybody's coming here. So people have realized, let's do something to make their lives easier. Independent senior living communities, they're exactly what they sound like, independent senior living communities. And one of the great things about working with me and Beth is we have contacts at many of these that we can put you in touch with. We have brochures that we can give to you, send to you, so that you don't have to reach out. One of my first recommendations to you would be, do not ever, ever, ever go on to those sites of Best Place for Mom, or I'm interested in looking for senior options. Your phone will ring off the hook like nobody's business. And they're in the business to make money. We're in the business to help you. big difference. So that's going to be on TV, so I'm sure that's not going to go over well. But that's my own personal opinion. You've got some assisted senior living communities, memory care, long-term health care communities, continuing care, retirement communities, condos, townhomes, garden homes, and patio homes. So, there's a lot of different options depending on where you are in your stage, or if you have a partner where he or she may be in their stage as well, working together to make sure that you find your right location that can go forward through the whole process. Step 2 is communicating with your family and friends. This can be a tough one because there are emotions with your family and friends. They don't want you to move. How can you move from this house that we've lived in all of our lives? We've had Christmas dinner here and Thanksgiving dinner here for years. How are we supposed to, what are we supposed to do now? Where are we supposed to go? And at the end of the day, it's really a very blunt conversation. I appreciate where you're coming from, but it has absolutely nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the lifestyle that I need and choose for me for the remaining years. And again, that's where it's really nice to have somebody who's a professional, has had these conversations, understands sort of the words that need to be said in order for everybody to kind of wrap their heads around it. But that communicating to your friends and family can be a really difficult, conversation. One of the things in the workbook we have are some ideas of how to verbalize it to your family and friends, whether it's through a note or if it's just through words. You're communicating your goals, your wishes. There you go. It's not about asking your opinions or your permissions. It is about establishing your expectations. You would share with them, you would create a written plan, and you would inform them of what your choices are. Here's the sample letter. And this is why it's so important to do the first of making a plan, because if you're able to say to them, here are the 2 places that I'm looking at, here are the timelines of what these organizations have for when I can move in, it makes it much easier to communicate instead of just going in and saying, this is what I want to do, but I'm not really quite sure what I'm going to do. No. You've got to go in and have a plan. And communicating to them is the smartest thing to do, and already having a plan. Surrounding yourself with professionals. Again, this is where Beth and I come in. We have helped folks go from, oh my goodness, emptying barns. This past week, I've made 5 separate runs to Goodwill, Furniture Friends, Restore on behalf of 2 of my clients who are in their 80s who have already moved into an assisted living, independent living location. They have family, but the family isn't around. One lives in Connecticut and one lives in Mass. So our job really is to help you find these people and actually help you. You will find, though, that there are many people in our professional circle that probably don't do as many steps as Beth and I do to make sure that you are taken care of. But that's what we kind of consider our mission and how we can best serve you and making sure that the process is as smooth for you as possible. One of the things that you would start with is walking into your house and saying, okay, I know for the past 30 years you've lived with this bright purple wall, and I think that's fantastic. However, if we want to get the most amount of money for this house, we're going to have to find somebody to paint that a pretty dull color. So it's everything from that to, let's call the various organizations that we have relationships with and get them to come in and take a look. Is it an estate sale? Is it a Furniture Friends? Is it a donation to a Goodwill or other organizations in your area that may benefit from many of the items that you have? Let's see. Come on, little. Oh, we have lost our connection. Oh, he's not even that cute to look at. Let's see. Come on, this is where we were.
He's got a great smile.
Does he? Yeah, he's okay. Let's see. It's not. Okay, well, I'm just going to continue. So coming down to our 4th step, as you'll see in your little brochure, is dealing with a house full of possessions. And that sort of is a follow-on to what Beth and I can help you out with. You've got the necessities of the furniture, toiletries, eating utensils. I mean, these are all things that you're not going to need. There you go. That you're not going to need when you get into your next location. Come on, little. See, this is the joys of, let's see, dealing with a house full of possessions. Estate sales. There are a lot of people who will come in. Okay, these are all the folks that we would know to help you get to where you need to go. Come on, little machine. Okay. Come on. Let's see. Dealing with your house full of possessions, we've got that. We're really this is going to be less than 20 minutes, Julie. Okay, good. 3 key factors in this whole process. Let's see, did we get to 5? Let's see, that's your house full of possessions, and then it's celebrating your new lifestyle. And it really is a lifestyle. You and I will be working together. You will yell at me. You will cry. You will say, I can't do this. You will say, this is the most frustrating thing ever. And it is. But when you move into your new place and you're surrounded by new friends, you're going to look at me and go, well, this was the best decision I've ever made. And I don't say that because this is what it tells me to tell you in this piece of paper. I tell you this because this is what happens to every single client that we work with. Every single one of them. Which is funny because one just called and I closed on her house with her about 2 years ago. She still calls me all the time to tell me how happy she is. So 3 key factors that you really need to keep in mind as you move through this is your level of optimism, your support network, and the level of activity. It is a little overwhelming in the amount of things that happen. Okay, this is getting me motion sick. I don't know about you all, but I feel like I'm on a roller coaster, and that is the last thing I ever want to be. Okay, so this is where we are. So I'm just going to, okay, I'm done. Woof! Okay, so I'm just going to tell you a couple of stories that we've run into. Have you and I met before? Did you go to Freeport? No. Okay.
I lived in Freeport.
Okay, so there are a lot of people out there that can help you as you move. And I'm going to guess that all of you are here because you're thinking about downsizing or you have people that are downsizing or right-sizing. It doesn't matter. However, somebody's going to tell you what it is. But we all know what it is. It's going through all the stuff that you have and figuring out what you're going to do with it and where you're going to go next. My first recommendation to you is to talk to a financial person. What do my finances look like? How much do I need to live the next 20 years in a location? What is it I like to do? Do I like to go on cruises? Do I like to travel? Do I like to go snowshoeing? What are the things that are going to cost money as I move forward in my life? Figuring out how much money you will have every single month is the very first place that you need to start. And that, I mean, you can take into account if you sold your house tomorrow. All of that will come to your bottom line to help you figure out. And we have people who have worked with those who may not have a financial planner all of your life. You've just had this coming in or that coming in. Now you have 3 or 4 income streams, all these things. And they can look at all of that and they can help you figure out what is your bottom line. This is what you're going to have every month. Once you have figured that out, as I'm sure you can see online, you can see in the ads, you can see in magazines, you can see everywhere, there are a lot of places within here. You want to go south, you want to go north. I don't know why you'd want to go north, but if you want to go south, and even when I say south, I mean Scarborough, I mean Portsmouth, I mean Mass, New Hampshire, things like that. I have a client whose husband passed away, and a month later she put her name on a list for a place that she wanted to move down to in Mass, and 2 years later she got the call that said, okay, we're ready for you. And we were hair on fire and got her house closed. So it's that type of thing. So once you know what you can do financially, it's deciding where is it I want to go. And Beth and I have relationships with many of those people. And what you'll find when you go to these places, they'll give you all the tours and they'll introduce you to people and those things. And you'll fill out your paperwork, you'll leave a deposit, and almost 100%, I haven't met anybody yet, so I can't tell you for sure 100%, that deposit is refundable. If you wake up the next day and decide this isn't what I want to do, if you wake up in a year and decide that's not the place I want to go, if they call you and say, hey, we've got this place open right now, are you ready? You can say, no, thank you, I'll take my deposit, or no, thank you, put me back on the bottom of the list. So don't let them pressure you into feeling that you've got to make that leap right now. You don't have to. You're still in charge. You're in charge all the way through this whole entire process. And being able to bounce that off of somebody who has dealt with many of the independent and assisted living places, we can help you say, no, I really, that's not what I want to do. These places, too, are also very good about helping you. Okay, so what's your final goal? Your final goal is you want to be in one of the larger one-bedroom apartments? Great. If you start here, we do it from, when a bigger one comes available, we start with the folks who are already living here. So they're great to sit down and have conversations with. And they're very good about providing information, steps along the way. You can, when you go and look at these places, they'll clean your room, they'll do your laundry, they'll check in on you if you have medication, and then they also won't do any of that. So it really is up to you. What do I need right now? And that's what you need to decide so that you can go find the right place. So you've got your finances, you've got your name on a list of places that now you want to go to, okay? This is a long process. We are in it for the long haul. So in a year from now, you're going to get a call, 6 months to a year from now, you're going to get a call that says, we're ready. Well, that's not the time to decide that now I got to get rid of 40 years worth of stuff that's in my barn or in my basement or, I was helping these same people. He found checks that were dated 1971. And I was like, Steve, you do not need a copy of this check. Well, so things change. So these are processes that need to start now. And there are people out there that will sit down with you. There are people out there who will charge you $100 an hour. There are people out there who will charge you $1,000 a day. We're happy to work with any budget that you may have to provide you the right people that you need to talk to. And that's one thing that you need to be aware of. Make sure that you, whether it's the resources that Beth and I can provide you, or if it's people that your friends have worked with before, you get a couple of quotes for whatever you need. They've got, the junk haul away people, and they'll come in, and all of a sudden your house looks like a completely different house because you told them to take away this, this, and this. Boom, it's gone. That can cost you a couple $100. That can cost you $5,000, depending on how much stuff you have. Talking to your family, and as heartbreaking as it is, people don't use china anymore. I'm going to guess everybody in this room has at least one set of china and probably some beautiful silver that I remember polishing before every party that my mother had. Nobody wants that anymore, and it's so heartbreaking. What do you do with it? There are estate sales. There are people, there's a place up in Freeport, name escapes me now, that takes all that stuff and then they resell it. You can also just give it away. But it's asking your family and friends if they want it and not taking it personally if they say no. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with how this world has changed. So now you've begun to clean out your house. You've minimalized everything that you may or may not need, and you're going to get the call that says, we're ready for you. Usually you have anywhere from 30 days to 60 days to say, yep, I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to move in. And during that time, if we had spoken and you'd already decided that you were going to sell, we've taken pictures of your house in the spring or the summertime, so it's not covered with snow. And that's really important because it's kind of difficult to continually explain to people, no, there really are flowers underneath here. Yes, there really is green grass, although many of you probably have pictures of that from your house outside, of garden stuff or things that are around your yard. But working together, we would be able to say, okay, so you're on a wait list. It may be a year, but here it is, July. Everything's in bloom. The grass is green. Let's take a picture now, even just the outside. And then as you begin to clean up on the inside and declutter and get rid of things, then we can have pictures taken on the inside. So we've got this whole packet now. We're just waiting for the call that says, yep, we're ready to do it. We can put your house on the market. We can look at what the market has done. And we can keep you up to date from when we start the conversation to when we decide to put the house on the market, how the prices may change, how the interest rates may go wonky, what people are looking for, and get your house on the market and get you into your next place. So one of the first questions that you're going to ask me is, how do we get paid? That's the first thing everybody says. So am I paying you from the beginning when we first have our meeting? No. Am I paying you, Ruth, Beth? Am I paying you with every drive that you do to Goodwill? No. Am I paying you for giving me all this information? No. We get paid when you close. We just find it our responsibility and our joy to help you just get to that spot with as little stress as possible. So there's no fee. Although if you do bake cookies and have good coffee, we're okay because we can be bought in that way. What other questions do we usually get? What other questions can I answer for you? It's a lot of information, but I think really what you need to remember is you've got to get started now. And that's really the biggest thing. As hard as it is to recognize that, I may need to make a downsize or a right size or a move, it is best to get started now looking at your options.